Welcome to YourTown. I'm Leffel. I'm your host for the day. We've got a great lineup today, and we're going to talk about Marina. Marina is one of my favorite cities, and I think it's actually pretty underrated when you look at the whole Monterey Peninsula. So let's talk about Marina. My guests today are Marilyn Lidyoff and Brian McMinn, both from the city of Marina. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you're both actually fairly new to the city in the scope of how long people have lived here.
Mm-hmm.
I came in 1982, and I think people are still like, you're just now starting to, know what's going on around here. But it's kind of trial by fire when you first start in a new city, I would imagine. So, Marilyn, you've been here the longest.
I've been here in December. It'll be 5 years.
5 years. It's gone pretty fast, hasn't
Yes, it has. And I've enjoyed it very much.
It's a great community. It's a great community. So you're doing economic development.
That is correct.
And Brian, you've been how many years with the city?
Next month will be 1 year with the city of Marina, but this is really my home, this area here. So I've lived in this area since basically 1988, in various different capacities.
So it's good.
Yeah.
And so even in a year, you've seen so much change and growth in the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
It hasn't stopped since Fort Ord closed. It keeps changing.
So one of the things that fascinates me is the interaction between economic development and public works, because seriously, if the public works director is not cooperating with economic development, it's hard to get things done. So you're really fortunate, I think, that you two have a really good working relationship. It means a lot to the citizens.
Yes, and it does make our jobs much easier because we are on a constant dialogue.
Yeah, that's really the way to have it.
Yeah, the infrastructure really supports the development. So,
So let's talk about infrastructure a minute. Imogen Road's got some pretty big things pending, doesn't it?
Yes, we've got a pretty big project coming up in 2019, looking to start construction on the widening of Imogen Parkway between Imogen Road and Reservation Road. It's the about 1.7 mile segment that's still 2 lanes, one in each direction. So a little bit limited capacity there. So we want to widen that out to 4 lanes all the way from Reservation to Highway 1. Included in that is, a lot of people hear about or see a lot of the roundabouts, but we're looking at putting roundabouts at the intersections along that segment there to help move the traffic through.
So will that help slow it and keep it even so that people don't kind of race between stoplight to stoplight?
Yes, you won't have the queuing at lights, and we're hoping that we'll have a little bit slower overall speed, but a continuous speed through there. And some of the initial studies showed that there's actually time savings with the roundabouts as opposed to the traffic signals, even in the off-peak hours.
So my husband's a retired Army officer, and we lived in Europe and had a lot of roundabouts and got really used to using them. And I call them the traffic du jour. It's like everybody's now in roundabouts. It's crazy. The U.S. has finally discovered them. But is there going to be one there at the Imogen Road, or are you going to do it up by the marketplace?
We'll have one at Preston Park, Preston at Abrams. There's a new entrance for Sea Haven that's at Marina Drive there, and then there will be one at the intersection of Imogen Road and Imogen Parkway.
Okay, so 3.
4 actually, 4 along the corner.
That's a lot, is it?
But it's consistent. We won't have any traffic signals in the middle of it. You won't have a traffic signal until you get past that Imogen Road.
Well, I drive it a lot because the Business Council's office is in Marina at the UC Santa Cruz Invest, and it's very easy to accelerate there without really realizing that you're over the speed limit. Yeah, it's kind of a natural phenomenon, the way some of the curves are banked and the way it's kind of a rolling hill. So it's easy to get up to over 50 miles an hour without really paying much attention. I have to fight my car to keep it right at the speed limit. So maybe the roundabouts will help do that.
Yeah, you'll have to maintain slower speeds coming into them. We'll be going to 2 lanes in each direction, so, but we're also limiting the lane width slightly, so that helps encourage slower speeds along that roadway.
Okay, well that's good. So it starts in 2019?
Construction scheduled to start early 2019. We're working through the plans now, developing those, getting those ready to go out to bid, as well as the environmental studies and the environmental permitting that has to take place for the project.
So it's big.
It's big, currently estimated at $33 million. The Monterey County, the Measure X that was passed by voters last November is going to make a lot of this possible. There's $20 million coming from Measure X that's going to go towards this project. So without these regional tax measures, we wouldn't be able to address the regional traffic problems.
Where's the other $13 million come from?
We've got funding from the state, has been earmarked for it, as well as there will be some contribution from developers to mitigate the impacts for the additional traffic.
So it's built into the Sea Haven development?
Sea Haven, Dunes, any development in the city, really. We look at what traffic they're going to contribute to the roadways, and they pay their fair share.
That makes sense. So if it starts in 19, that's the EIR start, or will the EIR now?
The EIR is now putting that together, getting ready to circulate that. The construction will start in 2019, and we're projecting about a 2-year construction period.
Which one would be first?
Which one?
Which roundabout?
Which roundabout? That we don't know. We don't have the construction phasing just figured out just yet.
So in talking to TAMC, I think the 11 roundabouts that they're proposing on Highway 68, those will start in about 2021 maybe?
Yeah, they're going to be coming after the Engine Parkway.
So Engine will be finished and completed before 68 begins, we hope.
I would say most likely, yes.
Because that would be a little disastrous to have them both at
Yeah.
the same time.
People have to have a choice.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, stop here or stop there for construction, right? It's the human cost of construction and just sitting and waiting.
Yeah.
So.
And it's being coordinated with TAMC, so, and they're aware of the schedules and making adjustments in relation to that.
Well, I think it's needed. I think it's really important that becomes consistent along that roadway, because it's really, it's kind of disconcerting. You're kind of buzzing along with 4 lanes, and all of a sudden you're down to 2, and then there's turnoffs and other things happening. So, and as the population grows out there, which is a natural growth, you know, it's important that we see that back and forth. It's also good, I think, for the Cal State University Monterey Bay, because they're growing, and their students, a lot of them are from the Salinas Valley and the North Monterey County area, so it's really good that they have a safe avenue to get back and forth to school. So.
Yeah, so it's a big project for Marina. It's a regional project, but it's going to be good for the community.
Good. So you had a public outreach, and forgive me for not remembering. Did you already have it, or are you having it?
Yes, we did. We did a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
We had the public outreach there with the designers and to get some feedback from the public on the design, because we're at about 30-35% of the design, so we want to incorporate that before we go to the final plan. Anything
really good come out of the public that gave you an aha moment?
You know, I wasn't. The surprising thing was, you know, you hear a lot about the roundabouts, and people they're comfortable with it, and some people not really big fans of it. I was hoping that more of the people that are really warming up to them would have been there, so we could kind of show them what the plan is going to be in advance. But for the most part, they were just curious about what was going to happen, and for the most part, it was positive. They understand the need, and they want to see improvements to traffic.
I think it's good. And if you look at the impact, seriously, just of not getting speeding tickets and being able to keep a flow of traffic, I just think that it's important along that road. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
we have to get away from our mindset of sitting in traffic signals.
I hate sitting in traffic signals.
You know,
I think most people do.
and you know, if you ask people, you know, you hear people say they have concerns about roundabouts, but ask people, do you like sitting at traffic signals or do you like stop signs? Generally, people don't. So it's anything that's kind of a traffic control. But the thing with the roundabouts is you have to be more active. You have to interact with other motorists as you're negotiating the intersection. So you do have to approach with a little bit of caution and wait for your turn.
Well, I guess the good news is I was talking to a young mother who told me she likes traffic signals. And I was like, really? She said, yeah, she's got a little kid. And she said, if I need something, I can reach back and do it while I'm at the traffic signal. And she said, I check my phone.
I didn't want to say that, but that's one of the things people are giving up to. So, yeah.
And I said, well, maybe that's a good thing then, that, you know, there's not the opportunity to pick it up, because I think we've all been now behind somebody who doesn't go when the light changes because they've got their head down and they're either reading something or sending a message, and it's irritating. So I'm on my phone all the time, believe me, but not at traffic signals. I'm like, no, that's just not. If I'm in the car, I'm driving, and I feel like it's not my phone booth, it's my vehicle.
Yeah, I think we just spend so much time in cars nowadays that people are trying to get on with life and trying to accommodate that in the middle of the commutes. So
Maybe roundabouts will help that.
Yeah.
Kind of free your mind, and all you do is be driving, right? So what else do you have going on over there? You've had so much because you had all the development, which we'll talk about in a minute. But
well, along with the development, a couple of the dunes in the Sea Haven development, they're going to be developing parks for the residents moving into those neighborhoods. But there are existing parks in the city, and it's time to take a fresh look at those. So we're going to be looking at the Equestrian Center and the Gloria Jean Tate Park on Reservation near the Highway 1 exit, and look at refreshing that and getting amenities in there that are more current with what the community is looking for.
is Gloria Tate the one that's by the library?
No, it's just across from the Denny's and the hotel there at the Highway 1 exit.
On the reservation.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on reservation. Okay.
On the reservation.
Okay.
Did I say the wrong street?
No. I just didn't say you didn't say. I'm just trying to visualize. Yeah. So, that one that's by the library, because I'm on the county's workforce development board, and we often have meetings real early in the morning there at the Marina Library, and that park gets so much usage.
The Log Patton Park? Or is
That's
that the
what
one you're
it's called,
referring
yes.
to? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one really gets a lot of usage. You see people out walking early in the morning, and we usually leave about mid-morning, and there are even more people out there.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the first roundabouts too, right there.
Yeah, the first two roundabouts there. So another exciting thing that's been happening with the city of Marina, you know, in a city where we're a little bit resource constrained in maintaining parks, we have a grassroots group called the Friends of Marina Parks that is forming, and they held their first event at the library this last Saturday. About 20 to 30 volunteers came out and pulled weeds and spread wood chip and cleaned up the landscaping around the library itself. So we're looking forward to them growing and continuing on and having more events like that to keep our parks looking nice.
Well, you know, I think that library is just a treasure because it's really nicely designed. It's got a big enough community room that the whole community can use it, and they're very open to allowing people to use it. And it's interesting in the mornings when we're in there, there's always somebody who's sitting outside there waiting to come in, and it's really a fabulous resource. And with the park right next to it, it kind of just gives a nice feel to the whole section of the community. So, any surprises that when you came to the city of?
Nothing real eye-opening. I mean, I knew kind of what I was coming into. Just a little bit organization coming into an organization that's much smaller than I'd worked in before, so being a little bit more hands-on with the projects in the day-to-day. So don't have as many people to turn to when things come up.
That's true.
But everybody's kind of in the same boat there,
Right.
from all the departments. So it's not such a big city that you can't reach out and work alongside with other departments.
Along with other jurisdictions who have downsized as well, so we're kind of all on the same length, wavelength.
You have kindred spirits.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
In other
I think
cities.
that's typical of working in municipal government or government in these days. Everybody's kind of resource constrained, and coming from a larger organization into this, in the larger organization, yeah, you had a larger staff, larger budget, but the needs and the ambitions of the community always exceed what's available in resources. So you're always trying to close the gaps and find new ways of getting things done.
Yeah, well, when I was in banking, I used to say it's a lot easier to run a big branch than a little branch, because a big branch, you've got one person does this department, or two or three, or two people do that. You get in a small branch, and pretty much everybody is all hands on deck for all jobs. You end up constantly crossing over and working with somebody else in another department. But the good news is you learn so much more, because you really learn how the fabric comes together in other departments and how you impact them, other than working in your own siloed world. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Not much of a silo here.
No. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a minute. So this is Your Town. Don't go away. We'll be back in a second, learning all about Marina. Thank you.